Okay, we'll get back to it then. This is Rise of Industry. By all accounts, this will probably be the third episode, and hey, things have been looking pretty good for it. We ran into some troubles last stream. Well, there have been some troubles going along it anyway. One big one is performance. That one's never going to go away completely, but raising Atlantis here, which I don't intend on using until the real world is filled up with industry, has helped out a bit by having there be less water for it to have to pathfind through every few days. Probably some really unoptimized pathing code for the boats, and it checks all pathing every few days in the game. Anyway, that's what we do with that. I will continue to raise more of Atlantis as I have access to more of the world to raise it in. Another issue was shell companies. There was a company that owned land in Colne, and I think they also owned Santarem, and they blocked me from having access to that. So, huzzah! I have destroyed the shell company. Well, not entirely. I think Rightwares will become a shell company once they're bought out, but they'll be a shell company with no land, so it doesn't really matter. You might think, wow, how did you manage to fix all that? Well, I actually remade the world entirely. If you have an acute eye, you'll notice we're only on year 3, whereas we were on year 12 or so before. So that seemed like a bit of an unpleasantly large undertaking, but thankfully with this game, I could just make Factorio-style blueprints. So what I did, for example, was I went, oh, here's the north of Timbuktu. I just copied it, and when I reloaded the file, I just slammed everything back down. The real trouble was I had to redo all of the logistical networks, but that was just like chopping wood. I sat down with my laptop, put it on offline mode and loaded up the game, because you couldn't load 2 instances of it if you are online. And then I just looked at that to check what the routes were, and I recreated them on this. So really, all the stuff I did over the past 10 hours or so of gameplay, I redid in about a couple of hours. There might be some things that aren't quite right. If you've got a keen eye for it, you'll notice some things. For example, we used to go through these islands and not through mainland Italy. Some of the other railroads won't quite be the same. I think almost all industry, if not all of the industry, will be exactly the same as before. In any case, it's pretty much how it was before. Timbuktu isn't quite as large, but it has the same shops, I think. Maybe it didn't have a diner, but it certainly had a clothing store. Same for Baghdad with the clothes, and Delhi for clothes. So I'm going to unpause the game, and hopefully not everything is going to immediately crash and burn. I know that we have a lot of stuff backed up here because the demand isn't quite as high as what we had before for this stuff. So this warehouse is probably stuffed full of napkins. It is exactly stuffed full of napkins. By the same point, these textile factories don't all seem to be getting the fabrics or the fibers that they need. I actually intend on expanding this out a bit, or maybe using this place to be making more textiles and dyes, because textiles and dyes, I don't think I ever sell them raw. I can check here and see that none of the fabrics and dyes are being delivered to the warehouses, and if I check them out, even with their low demand, Baghdad warehouse here does not have any of the fabrics or the dyes, so I'm definitely undersupplying those. So it might be an idea just to immediately make another one of these, and I can easily fill that up by doubling everything here. Unfortunately, I think, yeah, that we're already backed up with water, not backed up with the other things. And even the raw berries and things I could be selling on, so I'm going to make that the first thing we do, because I don't want this to just entirely be troubleshooting the campaign. Alright, yes, we can of course copy-paste. We can of course copy-paste. I don't know why that is so pernickety. I just noticed the Black Sea is black with pollution. What a beautiful sight to behold. Yes. I think we only got a little bit of the Black Sea black polluted last time, but there's certainly more sea pollution this time, because when I stamped down the industry, I was like, the air polluters will take care of it. And then I forgot air pollution does not stop sea pollution. I would need scrubbers for that. Well, it doesn't stop it if it's already started, at least. Right. Hold shift, press X, copy, paste, 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 paste. There we go. I've doubled the production of cotton and berries, which will all be used for more dyes, and I can For one, get rid of all these other copy pasties that I made. Thank goodness for this layout feature. I'm really happy with it. I mean, it could be better. Consider how large you can make your blueprints in Factorio. I don't actually know if there is an upper limit to how large you can make blueprints in Factorio. If there is, I have not reached it. And then we just go, I want, no. I need the roads as well, come on. All of the roads. Yeah, good enough. Save that layout as, what are we going to call this? Textiles and dyes. Since it seems fairly efficient, it seems to completely work and put out, well, a lot of textiles and dyes. Question is where I'm going to slam this thing. It can really go anywhere as long as it's off of this train network. So there's no real problem in having you, say, over here. Again, I don't want you overlapping with warehouses, but that should do. Why did it not place... Oh, I don't own Colne! I can't build factories in Colne because I don't own Colne. Right, can I change that? How much does Colne cost? A lot of money. Well, let's do it. I want Colne. Nobody contested me on that, so it didn't go to auction. And if we try this again, this should work. It doesn't work. At least not entirely. Why? I don't think I overdid anything. It's probably just because of that being there. So let's try one more time. Textiles and dyes. Ah, I think I see now. Everything is in there aside from you. And there we go. That looks about right to me. The tricky issue is that it is reversed, so I have to think in reverse. Think rotationally, Jake. God, thinking rotationally is hard. It all needs to be on 200% as well. The game is still chugging a bit and making the audio crackle. I am not surprised. This game is intense on resources. I think we'll have to live with that. Alright, what are we looking for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dye places. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where was the fifth one? It's there, and if we rotate that around, it's essentially there. And we make sure that all of the fibers, which you're already on, is at 200% as well. Copy and paste to all of these. The game is really hungry for fibers whenever you have those shops set up for them. I'm borderline surprised on it. This might actually create too many fibers, which may or may not be a problem. I'm going to go with may not, because it's easiest that way. I'm also going to make sure that this can be stamped right on top of this, I think. There's probably no reason to make any changes. Yeah, see, it can just go stomp. And I'm happy with that. So you go, and out you come. Make sure it all links up. I don't know why this part didn't link together, though. Doesn't matter why. What matters is that it does link. It all looks reasonably okay to me. What's the water levels meant to be at? 200%. Are there meant to be 2 of them? Well, whether they're meant to or not, we're going to be having 2 of them. Also, the range on this warehouse needs to be reined in. Everything is on automatic, but I want to make sure that it sticks to this area, which it does. 200% on you, 200% on you, and the question is where do the goods go? Well, I want them to also send their stuff over to this place with maximum priority, and then any overflow can go to the warehouses that then go on to sell them. Why does Jake sound so exhausted 20 minutes? I'm really tired because I was up last night trying to fix my computer, and it didn't go well. It really didn't go well. Oh, right, first things first, these guys need their berries and their cotton. So again, farm produce cotton comes here, sent by train. I should really be naming all of my warehouses to keep things nice and simple. So I'm going to call this Dyes and Textiles 1. And then, yeah, this thing even supports Control A, Control C for copying and pasting. I am fairly happy with that. It's got some nice touches, it just really needs a lot of spit and polish. It's not going to get it though, because they're working on other games. So woe is me. In any case, all of the cotton and all of the berries that they can should go over here, full loads by train, no problemo. And then as for you, whenever you make your goods, and they are only tier 1 goods, they gotta go to the warehouses. So, oh right, but first destination is here, of course. Send up to 80, don't keep anything back. And same for, what's the other thing and where is it? There we are, fibers, and I keep calling them textiles, but that's okay. Send them in full loads there, and then the rest can come to these warehouses. So, dye to Timbuktu's Cursed Warehouse, and yes, we're keeping the name Cursed Warehouse. Send them 60 when you have 30. Same with the fibers, send over there. Should it really be 60? I mean, I think I'd be happier if they had 90. There's no reason to undersupply these, especially when there's a fair distance to go. Good afternoon, says Rombig. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm certainly doing well. I had a miserable time last night, though, trying to get my PC to work the way I wanted it to. It just didn't come together. I was trying to get my 4th monitor to work. The port on my GPU just refuses to play ball. It works before Windows boots, though. I tried reinstalling Windows, tried reinstalling lots of different drivers. Nothing seemed to work. And in the end, I couldn't get the port to work. But I sure created a lot of problems for myself, so I had to go through that wonderful part where you find and reinstall all the programs and then make sure things work the way you want them to. Try to get things as close to how they worked before. It wasn't easy. And I'm sure I'm still not done, that's why I had an extra bit of time making sure things looked and sounded okay. So, that should be you operating just fine, at least once we start building up some cotton and dyes. That cost a lot of money, but that's okay. We have a decent amount of money, and those dyes and fabrics will sell, although not nearly as much as, say, the textiles and clothes and napkins do. Are you back with the old GPU, or do you make do with only 3 displays? I would far rather use my 3070 with 3 displays than my 1070 or 1080, I forget which one it is, with 4 displays. So, I'm with my 3070, Marvin. Yeah, when you're streaming, more monitors is quite useful. Especially with how big applications get these days. I mean, Jings, just my OBS window itself wouldn't fit on the old monitor that I had back in the day. What would that have been, my 800 by 60 or 60 by 400? Really old, chunky CRT that, well, I still loved it and I still played Stronghold on it with no sound because I didn't have a sound card. Okay, you continue to worry me. I need to, at some point, redesign a warehouse setup for cattle. I thought this setup worked fine, but I'm looking at this constant gridlock. And I'm thinking, it doesn't work well. If it ever cleared up periodically, I'd know it's fine. But look, it's just constantly shipping out vehicles. Well, they are moving, I suppose. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. It just looks pretty bad. I'm wondering if there's anything else I have with a busted bit. I think on one of my copy-pastes for industry, I have an errant bit sticking out of the loop, and that is causing some issues. Kind of workflow requires 4 monitors. Requires. It's not always about requiring. DDR blind playing Stronghold without sound? How did you know when you're getting attacked? Well, I think back then I wasn't blind. I didn't even need glasses when I was a kid. Well, no, I did. I think I needed glasses from when I was 12. Still, it's reassuring to see that everything's working. I don't even have any production alerts. So I think we have faithfully recreated what we had before. So the question might be on your mind, where to now? One of my priorities is to get every permit because I do not want the AI shell companying me again, holding on to permits. So we need to find those wherever we can. I wish I could turn off pathing alerts. 90% of the time, it's the game's fault. It has a perfectly valid path, and it just thinks that it doesn't, and I don't even know why. It's probably because it's being blocked by traffic here, so it can't come out. Nah, but eventually the traffic will clear, and it will get its truck out. Out it goes. And now it doesn't have a pathing alert. See, pathing alert is not the same as too much traffic. And I would love it to understand that. Then again, this entire setup here is hideous. Whoa, again, the game just lost a lag spike and moved me around. This entire setup for industry here is hideous. It's incredibly wrong in every capacity, but it's what we could cheaply make at the start of the game. It will eventually be torn down, but for now, it just sits there printing money, and I have very little reason to stop a sure thing that prints money like that. There's another can't reach destination, but you bleeding well can, you just choose not to. Right? Yeah, you're trying to get into that warehouse, which is kept too busy. So. I don't really care about that storage being full either, not my concern. Getting permits, pretty important to me. Sadly, I don't think I'll be getting the permits from places where they have their headquarters. Power LLP has Fort George, so I won't be getting that. Right Wares has New Orleans, I won't be getting that. And Side Trust has... is that the Yukon? It is the Yukon. So essentially, North America is off the cards, but everywhere else I want if I don't already have, so I should be working towards getting that. I've already got Thule. I want Santorim. I do not want to be blocked out of Santorim again, but I don't have a lot of money. Maybe a side road, bypass the town, help the traffic a touch. A side road to bypass the town. You mean on its way back, because of the way they come around here? They're still going to take the shortest route, so I think they're still going to be dealing with this. Anyway, I'm not worried about it because it works. They do flow, and even when things back up, things come in waves as they finish their goods, and the backing up of traffic doesn't stop the next wave coming in. So I'm not worried about this, especially since I have a pollution purifier, which is stopping pollution from being caused by all that traffic. So although it's a bit hideous, it works, and there's no reason to change that until I tear everything down and, say, centralize my sugar or yeast production. So, not concerned. If it works, we let it be. It's sad to see how they don't manage to use both input lanes on that warehouse. On this one, probably because of the way that they're coming in here. So they drive on the left-hand side here, so they make a turn for the left on that, and they're coming in from this way. If I had one-way road setups here, that wouldn't be the case, but I don't think I can one-way road set up on... oh, you know what, I can try. There we go. Is that going to change anything? Give it a bit of time, see what happens. I don't actually think that worked, because this is the city's roads, and I don't think I can make a city's roads one way. Yeah, you can tell it would be a dotted line here if it was one way. So that was not going to happen. Still, watching that gave me the money to attempt to buy out Santorim. So I will start an auction on it. It doesn't like it because there's already an auction, which I am not going to be getting. It calls it Wakefield, but we know it's Santorim, and now it's our Santorim. Hold on, my corporation's called My Corporation. It's meant to be called Scrub Brushes. What a shame. I've got Buenos Aires. I think I've got Cape Town. Canberra. Got that. New Delhi. Got that. Somebody else already owns China, but that's okay. I'm not really concerned about flattening the Himalayas right now, so that's no big deal. And we've got that. So does that make all of it? I believe there are 15 regions. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Great. That's that taken care of. The next step, make Jake's sleepiness is leaking to me. I'm starting to feel tired. Yeah, but Alpha Gamma, it's the future over there. Surely you're allowed to be tired at this hour. Love seeing those boats go along, and it fills me with joy knowing that there are going to be a lot more boats. Fills me with anti-joy knowing there's going to be a lot less water. But hopefully I can trim the water off of places that I'm never going to be looking at, like over here, or over in the Arctic. Yeah, I could pool a lot of this Arctic away, just to reduce the amount of pathfinding that the game's doing, which it loves to chug over. So the next part is that I want to centralize my production of raw goods so that I can provide raw goods to every city on Earth. Reason being is that if I'm ever going to achieve perfection, I need to know what perfection is. And to calculate that, I need all of these cities to reach their maximum population. They're going to stop growing after some time, and that's probably going to be when they hit about 900,000. But they're only going to grow if I supply them with goods. Poor Colne here, for example. Well, I help them out a little bit, but it's not like they get their oranges, or their hemp, or their apples, or their cocoa. They just get the beef and the mutton, and really not much else than that. So that's what I need to work on. These goods won't make me much money. They should all turn a profit, except for the super crappy ones like wood and sand. I don't think I could make sand profitable shipping out from a centralized location. But even if it's not profitable, it will help the cities grow and create industry, or create demand for industry that will be profitable. Hemp, Colne's in Germany, not the Netherlands. Well, it's spilling over there. They just know their market. So, although prospering is good, they'll prosper more and grow more the more I give them. If we actually speed up in Timbuktu, we'll watch them grow in real time. Wow, that actually grew dramatically. 326, 405 becomes... I actually don't know how often it updates to population here. It's the kind of information I wish was available. There we go, 336. But they get quite a lot, don't they? Maybe it's whenever they consume the goods, so every 15 days they eat the goods and grow, or starve from not having the goods. But we can see they get their grapes, they get their tates, they get their fish, they get their beef. They should get some mutton, I think. No, mutton is shipped out from here, and I don't think it goes to Cursed Warehouse. On top of that, they should be getting the wood. Don't know why it's... Oh, did they... Oh, they just ate everything, didn't they? Point is, Timbuktu get a lot of goods, and they grow healthily for it. I also give good goods to Baghdad and Delhi, I believe. Prospering, as well they should. So, when things do get fully grown, I'll be able to go into each of their shops and tally up everything. I'll be able to count every apple in demand in the world, every fish in demand, confident in the idea that those demands shouldn't change, because I think they'll max out with the size of the city. At that point, I'm going to plug them into this Rise of Industry spreadsheet, which I very much plagiarized and only made minor adjustments to myself. I don't know who I plagiarized it off of, so if they want to claim all the credit for having made it, good for them. But essentially I can put in all of the desired production for all the goods. So if I know that there's a demand for orange soda, let's say there's a demand for 20 orange sodas in the world, it's then going to calculate exactly how much... There we go, how many sugar plantations I need, how many orange orchards that I need, and this is all assuming 200% production. And then, what makes it even better is if I also know that I need 50 oranges, it will add that on top and tell me the total amount that I need, and even if I tell the game that I want my Christmas tinners, let's say we need 5 Christmas tinners, it's also going to add that on top. That should increase the amount of oranges that I need, but actually maybe it was such a little increment that it didn't change that. Still, that's not needed right now, so let's come away from all that. And let's use this when we need it. I'll be plugging this in as and when I know what the max values are, or it would have been handy when calculating how much of the clothes I needed to satisfy Timbuktu, Baghdad, and New Delhi. Currently I'm definitely oversupplying it because the stores are small for the small towns that they are. I need to wait for them to grow a bit. But that's alright, having excess surely won't be a problem. I forgot when I put this down, it's going to make Wait, I didn't forget anything. Why did the purifier not appear? For some reason the purifier wasn't copy-pasted along. That's strange. It's very strange even. Oh man, that means this water has become putrid. I'll need to unputrefy it later on. For now though, I'll slam you down 200% and you should get that and at least stop this pollution from choking out my berries and cotton. Did you fix your logging issue? Oh, well, that's one thing I suppose is fixed. It's not giving me... it's quite funny. It's not giving me a log every frame anymore. It's instead giving me a log every second. Every real-life second. Which is about 1/30th of what it was doing before. So I would dare to say that the logging issue isn't an issue. I'm not going to poke my nose into the logs file. Some things are best left unseen. It's a shame about the game's performance, but that's not something that one can trivially fix. And again, since the game's development, we can assume has stopped. And there's no sense crying about it. But there's every sense in dealing with the situation. Now, what are the raw goods we're going to be making? Well, it's all of them, but I should definitely start with the ones that are going to make me more money and are easiest to make. For example, we could consider how much wheat the world needs. Wheat is something that isn't just needed for raw consumption, but it's also going to be desired for making flour. I'm trying to think of anything else that wheat is used for. Well, we can make it into booze, but that's only if booze shops appear. Isn't there a, like, hold shift for information? Here we go. Oh yeah, of course it's used for animal feed, but I like to integrate that into my livestock farm setups. Chickens, cows and sheep, fair enough, but otherwise flour and whiskey. I somewhat suspect that one single maxed out grain farm is going to be enough for all demand in the world. Because if you remember back to the Christmas tinner, it was really only one decent grain field needed to produce a lot of whiskey. At least a lot of whiskey for one shop. So I suspect I don't need too much of it. Thankfully, I've already created / plagiarized a setup for 12 farms. So I'll be grabbing that and putting that in. The question is, where should the bread basket be? It should be in a central location. I wouldn't have any big qualms putting it in Africa, although there's a lot of mountain to crush here. And some of it will be cheaper than others to flatten. Okay, some of it will be a lot cheaper than others to flatten. South America, at least the Brazilian part of South America, is already nice and flat for me. So it's tempting to use this as the centralized production area. Egypt's a nice idea, but it's a little small here. Just a little bit too small. I think with some gerrymandering it could be done, but I'd rather work with something that we can use straight away. Ideally, I just put it on Atlantis here. Like, this is a perfect, absolutely perfect place to be putting it. But I am committed to not using Atlantis until the real world is full. I did know from the start that I would need Atlantis place for production, but I don't want... It's too much of a cheapening out to use it just yet. There is the idea of using glorious Greater Poland here. I just bought out Cologne and could use that, but I'd rather keep that for glorious heavy industry at the moment. Historically accurate, that's not really what we're going for. I don't think, say, that Timbuktu is a... Okay, I don't think this part of Africa is a prime area for growing my wheat or desiring warm clothes. All those winter clothes needed in Timbuktu. Yeah, South America seems like the obvious choice here. Even though this side of South America is a bit away from everything. Hold on, I own this, right? I can make the Panama Canal. And I want to make the Panama Canal. There we go. Because anything that needs to ship up here to, say, New Orleans, does New Orleans want any grain? Well, they do. So that'll make my life a lot easier for shipping over there. And it might even make it faster to ship to other places. The concern is that it's a long boat journey to get to Canberra and China from here. But there's always going to be sections like that. So let us just prepare ourselves, shall we? Oh god, it's expensive. Terraforming is so expensive. But I know I need the space, so let's just swallow the costs while we can. Bye-bye money. On the plus side, I actually make money, so it's okay. Look at that, I'm even making money off of Santorim. Why is that? Because Santorim warehouse gives them milk, oil, gas, and coal. I know I won that auction, and I don't particularly worry that these are bothersome, although never, ever, ever... Wait, why are you still giving me that? I told you to turn that off. Never give me production alerts on water. I never want to know about them. Yeah, thanks to the scaling, the Andes aren't quite so high as they were before. Right. The lag spikes are unreal in this game. Should I just slam you down here? I think that's exactly what we're going to do. There should be minimal traffic, if any traffic, so I don't think this will be a problem. Crunch. Now I'm going to leave them on 100% for now because I don't suspect I need them running at 200% just yet. I will, however, get rid of you. What I instead want is to ship these things out directly by boat. Sadly, that means I need some water around here, and double sadly, it means I need to actually pay attention to where the water comes out to. So I'm just going to put my finger on the screen for where, and I just shifted the screen, but that's okay. I suspect if I bring you down a bit, like so, and then I flatten that out like so, I should be able to... Oh yeah! Dry docks, here we go. The game hangs for several seconds trying to recalculate all pathfinding or something, I don't know. And then, thankfully, I don't think we actually need much of a water route. The game can make do with very little at this point. So if I just put that in there, that should count as a valid route. Well, I'm hoping it does. And I will say that this is the main grain warehouse. So I will always remember that this is the main grain production facility. Now, will I ever need more than this? Let's run a quick bit of back of the envelope maths. Every crop farm can produce me 5 at 100%, so 10 at 200%. Units of wheat, and there are 12 of them. So why would I ever need more than 120 units of wheat every 15 days? Well, you might think, Jake, there are 14 cities in the game. I used to say 15, and then I realized that the Himalayas is a cityless area. And I know that demand for goods goes pretty high as the location's population increases. Like, these people want 11 units of sugar. But the offset there is that not everybody wants wheat. In fact, I think about half of these cities want wheat as a good. So I suspect that they're only going to need like 60 or so starting out, maybe even only 40. But regardless, this is going to make all the wheat. It will automatically come to main grain warehouse. And all I need to do is find everyone that wants wheat and make sure that they get that wheat. So we're going to do exactly that. Farm produce of wheat. Make sure it goes to New Orleans by boat. Make sure that they get a lot of it. No reason not to. And no reason for minimum capped. Or is there? It might be that I want the wheat to supply supply booze before anything else. And at that point, maybe it is worth putting min capped 30 on everything. But by the same token, I think I will be overproducing everything. So surely an equal spread will suffice anyway. Besides, if not everything is getting what it needs, then it doesn't really matter if there's min kept, and it also doesn't matter for this because it won't be perfect. So Min kept shouldn't be needed. If it sends to New Orleans, lots of it, and provided New Orleans knows to sell that wheat. Now, selling to shops can be done automatically, but that is one thing I never really want to do, because they only send it out one at a time in the trucks, and I need it to send it out fully, or else I'm never going to have the compactness needed to actually get all this done. So we're going to go around to all the places. I reckon to make this process faster in the future, I'm going to have some kind of quick notes somewhere that tells me everywhere that needs everything. But for now, I'll just check them all out. I think I've set up all cities with a harbour. Any that I haven't, I will fix up, probably as I do this. So the wheat also needs to go over to the Yukon warehouse, by boat, and send them 90 units of it. If anything, it should be set to unlimited, shouldn't it? I mean, 90 is essentially unlimited. Maybe I don't even need to change that then. Probably just make it extra work for myself. Because it doesn't matter, it's still going to be cut off the same way, doesn't it? Yeah. Given that there's going to be a lot of this, finding ways to reduce the amount of click fatigue that I have is going to be quite important. Just meet the demand. No need to wait until full. Alright, so where else needs wheat? They take wheat up in Thule as well. Now, once some of these start shipping out, I'm going to want to keep an eye on how much this is costing me, because it's going to be somewhat amusing. Not haha amusing, more like that is interesting amusing. So again, meet demand, do not wait till full. And that should be the New World's demand for wheat met. Oh yeah, does Santorim itself want any wheat? They do. Might seem a little bananas to be shipping your wheat around South America rather than just through, but I'm sure some things do that in real life. I'm told that their infrastructure for trains is god-awful, so it might actually be easier to ship things over than rail them over. There you go, Santorim. And Santorim will send its wheat over to the farmer's market. Again, meet demand, do not wait till full. Because if you wait till full, you cut in on your profits and you don't give perfect fulfillment of it. They don't eat wheat in Buenos Aires. They're more into animal products there. Fair enough, I can get behind that. Cape Town. Cape Town do want wheat. Man, my demand for wheat is going to be higher than I thought here. No, that's alright. Treat them mean, keep them keen when it comes to their supply. They're all going to have to share for now. Get that over to your farmer's market. And do not wait till full. So that's good. How about Timbuktu? I don't think Timbuktu eat wheat. I would have noticed earlier on if they had. Excess wheat is shipped out from here, but I don't suspect there'll be much excess wheat. Colne, are they a bunch of wheat munchers? They are not. How are we doing, says Whitcrow. Well, I'm doing pretty well. Hope you are as well. Well, I wasn't doing so well last night, that's for sure. A lot of computer woes. Self-inflicted computer woes in a manner of speaking. But I just cannot seem to get one of the ports on my graphics card to work. At least during Windows, I know it works in BIOS. Right, New Delhi wants some wheat, so again, we can wheat them up. Over to New Delhi warehouse. See, they're still set at 60, but I think I'm going to start going for unlimited. It shouldn't make any difference to back them up. I suppose my only issue would be if it says it's full and they can't send more. If I start getting alerts like that, that's probably going to be a pain, but at that point I will just turn off alerts. Warehouse alerts are seldom any good for me. As long as they don't make a noise, it's no big deal. Again, fulfill that farmer's market's demand, and I believe Baghdad are full of more wheat munchers. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay, this is a huge demand for wheat, more so than I thought. This is good though. More demand means more demand that I can fulfill at the touch of a button. So it goes over to Baghdad warehouse, which does have a port. So send it on over. Might as well max it out. And Baghdad warehouse, which already has a ton of stuff, including some wheat. Are you even selling that wheat? Bad, Baghdad, bad. I give you that wheat and you don't even sell it. There'll be little holes like that that I forgot to set up when remaking the map, but I will not take any flack for that. It was a lot of work. But it was the only way I could find to work around the shell company issue. And again, by shell company, we mean a company that exists in the game but cannot be bought out for some weird reason. I think that's everywhere then. I did check China, right? Of course I did. So now this centralized wheat location will be pumping out... Oh. Why does New Delhi not have a port? It never had a port. I was foolish to expect anything else. In that case, what do we do? I will eventually want multiple warehouses per city, but at this early stage, demand is low enough and traffic is low enough that that's not a problem. For now then, I shall find a way to oh my goodness, that is going to be some squeezing. Yeah, this is awkward. This is beyond awkward. I don't want to move that warehouse though. Tell me, how do you feel about terraforming? I own New Delhi, right? I do own New Delhi. Well, I know how I feel about this. Exceptionally lazy. Let's put you in here. Let's terraflatten you. Let's see what we need. I mean, the problem with this map is that given the scaling, there are no rivers. I don't think there are any rivers on this map. And that is sad, right? So let's fix that. Okay, along here is where we need the terraforming. The terraforming. There you go. I can't undo that, so I better make sure I did it right. You know how it goes. Measure twice, cut once. Let the game lag out as I try and put this down. See, I made it way too long, didn't I? And there we go. India now has a river, and I've probably flooded millions of them, but, you know, it's all for progress. There's almost no traffic from West South America to East South America. The Andes and Amazon are not really that passable. Well, it just puts down some railways. It's as easy as that. Okay, now I can double check that the main grain warehouse dispatches to New Delhi by boat. There we go. I'm a big believer in boats, even though we have significant performance issues with them. So, to start with, it's going to take a bit for these guys to get their water. And whilst I could set them to 200%, I could also just set the speed to 4 and wait it out. After 2 batches of water being done, all of these should be functional. Ah, man. It's not that impressive visually, but I do like the fact that the fields actually grow here. Helps the game feel alive. If you've ever played Nebuchadnezzar, that game feels so dead. Because it lacks such things, and it lacks people moving around as well. I got a lot of problems with Nebuchadnezzar, so I never went back to it. I don't think I ever streamed it though, just straight away I was like, yeah, this game is not very good. And it feels sad to say that when you've got people trying to make a spiritual successor to a fantastic game or series, but I can't say something's good if I don't think it's good. Believe it or not, I'm really bad at lying. So, you're heading off to Baghdad. Oh, you're both going to Baghdad. You're really keen on filling up Baghdad, aren't you? Okay, but what I am keen on are the costs here. Going over to Baghdad costs $20,000 by boat, which is an insane overhead on shipping out a raw ingredient. That's why we do it by boat. Boats have a capacity of 15. Essentially, 2 units of wheat are going to be lost in cost there, because Baghdad pays about 10,000 for their wheat, so that's very good. So, but if you count that out, we're making profit on 13 units of wheat, which makes it good. It is still profit for us. So every ship that goes over is making us about 13 times that. So about $100,000, let's say, if we cut away the cost of all these farms. $100,000 per boat dispatch. I'm looking at the wrong place, haven't I? $100,000 per boat dispatched is some pretty fantastic profit on setting this up. Building this cost me about 10 million. So it needs to pump out about 100 boats to pay for itself, and then after that it is pure profit. That's what I like about this game. Just the whole numbers game, I find works beautifully, and there's a great satisfaction to seeing it all work. There's still a little bit of underproduction here, but probably other places are filling up with water. Yeah, but as these guys make their water and it gets distributed, it'll be fine. It's also the case that maybe I am underproducing wheat here. I could set this up to 200 and just say to hell with not having to hell with overproduction, basically. To hell with something. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now I think about it. I'm going to set the water to 200%. And I'm not going to give two hoots about production backing up. Although I will wait a bit for that 200% water to be flowing. What's that crop farm's problem is well within the irrigation tower. Price of wood up for 15 months. The price of wood is base tiny, so you don't really get much out of that. There we go. That guy's finally operational. And we should have some excess water now. So I can set these crop farms to be 200% out. Now this will overproduce and probably cause me a little bit of losses on the fields running when they don't have to. But the offset is that I should certainly be fulfilling all of that demand and be ready for any future demand. So the only thing is I don't want this warehouse yelling at me if it has problems, because it's going to have a problem of saying, oh, I have too many goods. So let's just turn all of these off, and I'll be relying on my eagle eyes for if there are any issues. Sucks that I have to manually turn these off. I wonder, does production overview of... what am I looking for? Buildings, farms. No, that just disables them and centers on them. I can't use this to turn off alerts. Oh well. C'est la vie. Never, ever, ever alert me that water backs up. It is never an issue. The thing is, you could even sell water to the state, but it's almost never going to be profitable for you. I struggle to think of how it could ever be profitable, truly. You're assuming long-term cooperative plans between South American companies. Yeah, also assuming the longevity of South American countries. Freaking South America. I'll have to go there someday, but I've never had a good picture of Brazil painted for me. And it is all basically Brazil. Love how the boats can squeeze up and down through that. But there we go. That was a very simple way to pump out farm production for the whole world. The whole world will now be satisfied for grain, hopefully forever. On top of that, this system works, and the pollution is minimal because the traffic is always flowing. The reason it works here, where I have 12 farms, and it doesn't work here, where I don't have 12 farms, I think. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is because for the livestock farms here, the traffic is quadrupled. For every regular farm that makes crops or orchard things or whatever, it puts out 1 truck per good produced. For livestock farms, it puts out 4 trucks. Because for a livestock farm, it 1 needs to get in its wheat, and then 2, 3, and 4 puts out its mutton, wool, and other wool, or in the case of cows, beef, milk, and leather. So that enormous increase in traffic causes these backups, which do eventually pass through, but before that it causes a lot of pollution and necessitates putting in a purifier, which also necessitates an extra water well. In short, I do not like this design, and before I mass produce cattle goods, which includes beef, mutton, raw chicken, eggs, wool, leather, and milk, I need to come up with a better design than this. Now, I have appealed to people watching for any better designs, and nobody has come forward. Even though Kaladin was moaning endlessly about the warehouse design here, something short intersections, he has not actually put his money where his mouth is and come up with an alternative. I mean, I'd accept any design, even if you draw it on pencil and take a crummy phone photo with it and then compress it with JPEGs. I could recreate it in the game and test it against these. But I need a better, I need a better design for making cattle. I want a better design for this in general, because whilst it flows great with lots of factories, that's only if the factories have a low amount of throughput. I mean, this is 22.5 days and it needs 5 trucks. This also needs 5 trucks and it's every 7.5 days, and I will never accept these offers. No way am I going to lose my hard-earned rights. And I also lose all the buildings with it. It's a terrible deal. I love your design for the warehouse. I guess I'm playing the game as a total noob, says something green. Well, I have some very badly placed warehouses like this one. This isn't really designed though, this is just I need a warehouse thunk. But when you are actually going to be producing lots of goods, you're generally going to want a proper setup with one-way roads, so that you can get as many of them piling in as possible, and as many of them coming out as possible, and not having them clash. So for example, these guys coming in, there's a reason I use these wee hills and the underpass, so that they straight up do not get in each other's way. Of course you have to research both these things, but that's okay. There's no imperative to have very efficient warehouses like this in the early game. Alright, should be relatively satisfied with that. I'm not satisfied with this though. What's your problem? For one, you're telling me that you're backing up on water, and I never ever want to hear that. For two, you are full. Full of what? Full of water. Well, you know what? Just don't tell me when you're full of water, and then I'll be much happier. Otherwise, you've got a lot of cotton coming in. That might be good. If I have too much cotton, that is pretty good. You go to both dye and textile places. I should find a way to ship excess cotton, though. Where are you connected to that consumes cotton? This is another thing I want to centralize later on, but if I already have cotton being produced, it's something I don't need centralized early. Wow, Timbuktu is growing immensely. And Timbuktu desires cotton, but they already get cotton. Ah, I already gave them local cotton fields. And they produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's thinking, he keeps forgetting about the production of cotton. It's 2 per fields, it's 1 per day. So they actually get 6 cotton every 15 days just from that. So cotton won't be going there. Cotton, everybody's favourite King of the Hill character. Killed Fiddy Man, he did. Come on, somebody's got to want this cotton. China, save me. Okay, thank goodness. China wants cotton. It's a long, long way to go with a train from here, and I could significantly cut it down if I made a train pass through all of this. But I don't own China, so I cannot terraform here. I can build all the rails I want, but China is horrible for building on. So I might just swallow the costs of taking a long, long line. You're not backing up with cotton, but you will eventually. If this is anything to go by. I'm actually surprised. I mean, you're not backing up on cotton. And you are, well, maybe actually the cotton is in good unison. But I should be prepared for if there's any overproduction of it. So to that I just say, take your cotton and ship it all the way over to China, which will probably take forever. Yeah, and cost a bomb on top of that. But that's alright, send all the excess to China, but only do it when you're actually backed up on cotton. And Chinese warehouse, be sure to sell that on, because that's something I keep forgetting to do. So the biggest thing I keep forgetting in this game is actually selling the goods when they reach the end of the production line or end of the logistics line. And the irony is that that is the most important part of the whole process, because it's the part I get paid for. I love how everything, as Jake has said over the past 5 minutes, sounds like the EIC was going through leading up to the Opium Wars. Alright, China. Well, we don't own China. I cannot change the fact that I do not own China. This air purifier has its work cut out for it. It just cannot keep up with all the pollution. So I'm going to tell it to work harder. And on top of that, I'm going to make sure that you have tons of water coming in. No good reason not to. Same with you. Just work harder. It's that simple. Loads of coal and loads of gas comes in, but it's not backing up, and that is good. That tells me that all that coal is getting eaten up by all those cities, which I really want to be growing. Coal is growing nicely. I dread to think how large it's going to get. About as large as Timbuktu, no doubt. Alright, production alerts. You got anything important? Fabrics overflowing is fine. Destination storage is full is something I never want to know. Who's telling me that? Waterwell 23. I told you to stop telling me things. But it insists on telling me. Tell you what, dump your product. And then think twice about telling me anything. I can't even get rid of this production alert. Something's weird about that. And then Ipswich missing input. Oh, I suddenly realize a problem that I have here. I didn't actually make the water production 200%. Which is a rookie mistake here. But fortunately that's one of those things that fixes themselves very easily because water is at the very bottom of the production line. Who wants my cotton? Sadly I don't own China. It's funny because it's true. I wonder if Timbuktu's demand for wood has grown. It's up to 12 and I only produce 9. Would be easy to fix in a number of ways. I'll just set one of these to 200% and then it'll be 10, 11, 12. And actually I'm not going to set that one to 200%. I'm going to set this one to 200% because it has the easiest access to wood. Doing this makes me minimal money. This is all about growing the city. Every single good a city gets contributes towards its growth. So poor New Orleans has been largely ignored this whole run, but they're getting at least the bare minimum. They're getting some wheat, they're getting some gas, and they're getting some oil, and that's enough to get them going at least a little bit. Right, I own Buenos Aires, don't I? Surely nobody would take Buenos Aires from me. And that means that I could make another one of these over here for another good. And that is what I want to be working through. The problem is the cost. The cost of doing this is so unbelievably high. So I might make my next farm over here. And then it needs a very simple water setup to get onto the water. So it's no big deal. The question is, what else do I want to be providing? Again, it's all about the raw goods. At some point it's going to be about these goods. Raw rubber sells for a good amount. Well, that's because it's massively in demand here. Everything is. Poor New Orleans has been ignored this whole game. But I'm not going to be racing for sand or wood because both of those have pathetic payoffs. Raw rubber, though. The demand for rubber is surely not going to be high, at least in terms of output, or raw output. How are you doing, main grain warehouse, by the way? You're still dispatching it all willy-nilly? That's okay. Well, I could do some plantationing. I think rubber is done on a plantation. I should check that one, though. The land in the ocean is for performance issues. Yes, it is. The game appears to calculate every little bit of water on the entire map when it figures out the pathfinding for boats. And there's a lot of water on the Earth. I don't know if you've looked outside recently, TBW, but there's a lot of water. So the game ends up spending a lot of time figuring that out. So I would actually like to carpet this inland, and I probably will for next episode as well, just to reduce the amount of performance issues. And I'll do the Arctic as well. The downside is I can't... yeah, well that's why I haven't done it already. New Orleans and Yukon are both owned by other companies that I would have to buy out in order to have the rights to carpet their water inland. Right, so about that rubber. Rubber is grown in an orchard. Well, I'm very glad I double-checked that. It's So that means I need my 12 orchards and logistics set up, which very sadly I can't quite fit in here. But I could probably fit you in here if I just did a bit more smothering of Brazil. And oh my, you had me at smothering. Still a little sad we never got Brasilica, but I'll take Santarém. So with that as it is, I can do much the same I did before. I just need to make sure that there's path for my own dry dock being set up. I should also consider just how much rubber I'm going to need, but that's alright. I'm certain I will need plenty of it, enough to justify one of these big orchard setups. And I can also be... Wait, is that still... Oh, tiny little hump there. I'm confident that this will take care of global demand for raw rubber, at least until I find out that there's a huge demand for processed rubber. This actually looks really good. I could squeeze a waterway in there. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That place is going away. And once again, we are going to... Oh, I hope I do the right spot here. I think that's the right spot. And I'm going to assume it is and just roll with it by bringing it out. And then... There we go. Is the Antarctic still untouched by the Industrial Revolution? It is. It very much is. And it very much will be touched. Interestingly enough, the Antarctic is part of Buenos Aires, so I already own the rights to be building there. I just think I'd like to have the Antarctic run industry rather than raw goods production. But the thing is, as you can see, raw goods production is a huge amount of space. I might not have the liberty of choice after a while. Yeah, we're going to need at least one of these for every raw good. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's not even get started on livestock. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 of these actually isn't that bad. But that's if it's only 12 of these. How about we just assume that the demand for raw rubber is going to be enormous and set it to 200% from the get-go? For the love of... Oh my god, why? Maybe it's just the game loves to drop inputs when it has one of its many lag spikes. Shift-click to copy, and more shift-clicking to paste. And again, let's have you going 200%. Oh, I don't think we copy and paste the alerting, but it doesn't change the fact that I need this water. And again, thankfully, South America can just absorb the pollution for us. It does not appear to be affecting the crop farms. This is actually a big part of the reason why I have the crop farming part and not the fields part close to the warehouses, because the warehouse area here is where traffic is spending most of its time, so the pollution comes from here. It doesn't affect the crop farm if it hits this area, it affects it if it hits the fields. So by just having the workers here breathe in all the fumes, we can spare the crop. And that is exactly how we operate around here. So, no big deal. That's all set to 200%. The next part is making sure that this stuff can actually reach the water all the way to the Pacific. Ah, crap, I've done it again. I need to lower this first, and then use that low spot to latch on my terraforming with. Out we come, and come, and come some more. And that's as valid as it gets. So you'll be able to spill out here, and probably have an even longer journey than this one to all the places we need to go. But that means we get to go through this again, and if you thought that this was the peak of excitement, well, hang on to the edge of your seats, because there's going to be a lot of this logistical setup. The positive side of it, well, actually, perhaps the negative side of it, depending on how you look at it, is that these are finished. Almost everything else I've built, I've been saying, yeah, but I'll tear this down later on. These, no. This will always, into the end of the game, be the production of these raw goods that I need. The only exception will be is if it's somehow not enough to satisfy my raw, what's the word I'm looking for? my factory goods. For example, if the production of whiskey is so great that it demands more wheat than I need here, I will need to set up another wheat area, but I still won't be touching this. In fact, if things get that great, I'll need to decide whether I want to embed wheat production within a whiskey production chain, or if I want to make another one of these and have it split off its wheat over there. But I'm pretty confident this will satisfy the whole world's wheat production, or the whole world's raw grain need forever. Of course, open to being wrong. Still, let's take it from South America and working up. Buenos Aires, do you want my raw rubber? They do. I'm going to be in hot water if a lot more places want raw rubber than I thought, because it's going to mean I need more of this, but I am still pumping out 120 raw rubber every 15 days. So, as long as not everywhere wants it, we should be fine. Buenos Aires, enjoy your raw rubber by boat. Unlimited amount, no need for minimum kept, because that really takes down the amount of clicks I need to do. And then you, I'm second thoughts on this one. I'm already having second thoughts on this one. I'm not going to do raw rubber. I've changed my mind. The reason I've changed my mind is because late into the game, I'm going to need my warehouses to send to a lot of different places. And I want those warehouses to probably be pumping out trucks as often as possible, taking a direct route to where they sell to and back. Which means I don't want to mix a warehouse that takes in farmers market goods with hardware store goods. I will want to segregate those warehouses. So, what I should be building up right now are only farmer market goods and not hardware store goods. Later on, I will set up, say, a second warehouse with a dedicated port here and have them take in all the hardware store goods, and then a third one which does all the specialized store goods. I might actually need two that do specialized store goods because these goods are still in fairly high demand. Yeah, I reckon I can bunch these together like diner and bookstore and clothing store and grocery store, since these demands tend to be a little lower than these, like 6 dyes to 10 chickens, 7 apples to 4 clothes, 11 sugar to that. Yeah, I reckon that's how it'll be. Still, the decision now is stick to doing raw foods. So, what raw good do we want? Well, apples. Everywhere likes apples, right? Must be hell on these poor Brazilian orchard farmers when they're told to plant everything they need to make rubber, and without even paying them, I turn around and go, yeah, you see all those rubber fields you planted? Burn them down. You're growing apples now. Sucks to be them, but too bad. And as luck would have it, Buenos Aires do want their apples. Yeah, we've invented the canal. The canal, oddly enough, is something you have access to from the start of the game. You can terraform as much as you want. There's a difficulty setting that disallows terraforming, but there's no way I'd be doing a perfect Earth with that. It's so awkward to do without terraforming. Especially on the real world where it's really lumpy and bumpy. Righto, so although this one already has stuff going to the hardware store, it's alright. We're not at max level everything just yet. So farmers market, meet their demand. And again, sending out my apples just to Buenos Aires, and that's not a long distance, is already costing me $12,000 dues, 13 even. And then there's the extra distance that it goes from the warehouse to there, add another $600 on it. But apples sell for reasonable money. Ah man, inflation in South America is getting out of hand, but in Argentina they will pay $11,000 for one of my apples. So it's like I'm playing Reset here. Still though, that takes care of that. Santorim, are you apple munchers? They absolutely are. They don't have a large demand for it, but I'm still going to ship it to them. Here you go. So later on I'll probably rename these to farmer market warehouses. And, well, I'd probably do it F warehouse for farmer warehouse, HWH for hardware warehouse, and OTH for other warehouse? I don't know, I'll come up with some naming convention later on. Still though, Santorim get their apples, and Santorim are told to... They don't do it automatically, right? Nobody should be automatically selling to shops. Good, I hate that so much. It's a convenience, but it's probably a design philosophy that I really don't agree with in this game, where a lot of the things that they make automated here are strictly worse than doing things manually. You wouldn't get caught dead doing that in Factorio. Okay, the Yukon don't want their apples. I guess they only eat seals over there. And Fort George do want their apples, so off we go to there. Now there are doubtlessly people thinking, how does anybody get their fun doing this? It looks like the most brain-numbing thing imaginable. And perhaps in terms of repetitive action here, you're not wrong, but it's all about that fulfillment, that payoff, that desire to build. That's where it comes together for me, knowing that after doing all this horrific work, I'll be able to sit back and just watch it all flow and make me loads of money and fill up these cities so that they grow nicely. That to me feels really good. And it probably goes back to all of my days as a young boy. Going out and chopping wood. Now chopping wood in itself, I enjoy it, so perhaps the point is a little moot, but it is repetitive work. But when you're done, you end up with this massive pile of chopped wood. And you can look at it and have a smug sense of satisfaction, not only from looking at it piling up there, but knowing that in winter time, that wood is going to be keeping you warm, and by God, you need to be staying warm in winter. And as the coal price goes up, you need to rely on that wood. Taking all the neighbours' busted up furniture, hacking it apart and burning that to stay warm. Good times. Although perhaps not good at all, nostalgia helps out. Shipping things over to Timbuktu. Hadn't considered that. I don't have a port set up for Timbuktu. I don't like my cursed warehouse for a number of reasons. It might be an idea to make a new warehouse on the port that just sells the goods to their farmers market. Where's the Timbuktu farmer market? It's over there. So it would be reasonable to have a warehouse set up here that just sends it over. This coal stuff gets in my way. I can't make Timbuktu an exception here, or else I'm going to be ripping my hair out trying to set this stuff up later. So for now, I'm going to set you up here. And I'm going to give you your dedicated boat depot, which I just cannot seem to fit. Bit of terraforming would save the day here. There's quite a lot of terraforming actually, but we'll do it anyway. It needs to come out just a little bit more. No point doing more than is necessary. And enjoy the lag. Oh my days, I can only imagine what this does for my voice with that. Oh my goodness. So one of the problems with reinstalling Windows and everything is it's forgotten a lot of my setups, and one of them is never ever have overlay. Just in general, don't give me overlay. I don't know why so many of these settings are not account tied. I don't know where I find that in Steam anymore. Steam settings, is it called in-game or do they have their own overlay? Enable Steam overlay when in-game? Please do not. There we go. I mean, the real big brain move is to just not have any friends. But sadly that's Heldon's forte and not mine. Not a very efficient warehouse setup. I'll have to look into better in the future. Also, holy moly, this game can't do anything like this. I need to close all that, make sure it's a lot better, and then tell you to sell those apples to that farmer market. Make sure you meet demand. There we go. And I'm not actually sure if I told the... Oh, and I didn't give you your name, did I? What are you called again? Main Apple Warehouse. At this point, maybe main is a little redundant, but how big can I make these names? Ooh. Well, that should be fine. If I need to redo the names, that won't be a big deal. So there we go. Timbuktu is no longer an exception. And it goes over to, I think we'll call this Timbuktu Farmer Market Warehouse, FMWH. Send it over by boat, send them everything they can, and that'll be fine. Oh, but also I need this thing not to auto warehouse whatsoever. So I need to set its range to absolute minimum. Oh, that's not absolute minimum enough. It needs to enrapture its own boat thing. And I need to make sure that nothing is going out and nothing is coming in. But that means plantation 2, oh, needs to be set up manually because it's thinking it wants to go there. Where is it meant to go? Where do you go? Into this warehouse, which I didn't even notice was there, but there you go. So you get set manually and told to deliver there, and just deliver every last scrap of it, and we're okay. The farm market is there, and you are here. I feel like there's a bit of a loss in things. I could have this road come out and just you have an easier time to go to the farmer's market. Ah, but you approach the farmer's market from there. So with that in mind, there you go. That is permanent, but it's okay. Everything around it will be torn down as the need for progress goes on unabated. I am actually seeing encoding overload from the game. The game is struggling so much with doing that. I do worry. I really worry that this game is going to break before we get even close to doing what we need to do. I also worry that... I am thinking about getting an upgrade for the PC, but I also worry that that's not going to be enough. This game is just so ill-optimized that it breaks apart like that. Still, if nothing else, I could shelve it whilst I do the upgrade, if it's really breaking apart, and then try again after that. Okay, Colne Warehouse. You're already told to go to your farmer's market because you have goods coming in from elsewhere, don't you? Get rid of that. Show me the goods. There we go. You've fulfilled demand already. That's fine. How about up in Russia, in Tixi? Tixi do want them, and I made a mistake by closing main apple warehouse. Here we go. Apples going up there. What in the world was I doing that made the game hurt so badly like that? Strangely enough, it's my memory that the game drinks the most of. Memory spikes like nobody's business, although it also kills the CPU quite a bit. I have what could be considered a good PC for maybe 5 years ago. No. Do not sell apples to the toy store. Where's their farmer's market? Okay, there it is. It's hiding underneath the coal. Fulfill their demand and you're all good. So we did Colne, we did Timbuktu. How about Baghdad? No, Baghdad do not want their apples. How about New Delhi? How about them apples? They do want apples over there. And I am only too happy to oblige. New Delhi, get all the apples they could need. Make sure it's sent by boat. Everything's being sent by boat. Good. I wouldn't get much of a warning if I wasn't sending things by boat, so that's something that I need to keep a hawk eye on. Now, unfortunately, this warehouse is already set up to receive other goods, but that's alright. We can fix that later on. Wait, do I want to fix it now? I don't. Wait, you're told to go to farmer's market with wheat and told to go to farmer's market with wheat again? I only need that once. No sense in having a redundancy just yet. Alright, there we go. Oh, but I never actually... No, they did send it to New Delhi. It just doesn't show up at the top. Well, seems that China also have a demand for the apples. In they go. Maximum over. Make sure it's sent by boat. Always throws me off because it doesn't make first in the list. And apples to farmer market, which is right there. Nice and convenient. Santorim. No, not Santorim. Canberra. You don't get a lot of attention. Do you want attention now? They do. And on top of that attention, they want apples. Now, this poor place has been stagnating for a long time because I don't think I send it anything. Oh, and I'll tell you part of the reason. I don't even have a warehouse set up. Alright, we'll ignore them for a little longer. Cape Town. Cape Town want apples. I don't think I sent them any. Did I set you up for Cape Town? Not a lot of destinations here, are there? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ooh, well, now, if 11 different places end up wanting 12 apples per month, or per 15 days, you will not be able to keep up with demand. Didn't realize so many people wanted apples. Still, that's something that can easily be solved with an extra plantation that does a bunch of different things just to fill up needs. In any case, Cape Town warehouse, deliver those apples for me. SVP. On top of that, it's time for Canberra to get their warehouse. I want it situated near the farmer's market, which is there. But I'd also like the port to be on this side so it's easier for me to use. Means I'd have to swing around the back here. So that's a nice and simple way to get to the farmer's market. And with a little bit of terraforming, just a little, there should be enough space for a boat depot right here. Aussies will know exactly where this goes, because I sure as heck do not. The game will hang for a scary amount of time as it tries to wrap its head around my glorious network here. And then you were told to ship those apples. So now I can happily send things over to Canberra. I checked to see if Canberra wanted wheat in case I missed that. They don't. And I make sure that you meet demand. Don't wait till full. And none of this will work if these guys aren't linked up. So there we go. And very simply, they'll come out here, go in there, pop out, come down and back in there. There is zero traffic problems with this. Unless, of course, other traffic starts interfering with it. But the whole point is that they don't. So with that set up, I want to watch and make sure it works first. I have to wait a bit for it to get its water. But that's okay. Oh damn, right, no RTX voice operational right now to cut out all my drinking noises. You have to make do with that. I'm impressed at your capacity to speak out your thoughts while playing, says Mar Luxiar. Well, it comes with practice. I've been streaming for a long time. Okay, see right there? That was an encoding overload. I can only imagine that it didn't look or sound great for you as that was happening. The game must have just been calculating routes. That makes sense, since it did pump up before. Just expunging thoughts while playing, well, in my opinion, kind of has to be done whilst streaming. Well, I guess not. For me, it has to be done. I guess people that are doing, say, really dedicated speedruns and the like can't really afford to be pumping out those thoughts. Right, going from here to Canberra is likely the most expensive route that I have. Well, China's 1,000 tiles, 24 grand to ship to China. Again, that's 2.5 apples worth of goods already just thrown away on the costs there. But it still is profitable. In fact, it's very profitable. The amount I'm making per month is now about 15 million. Overheads are pretty hefty, but that's to be expected. And I just love watching those boats go out. This is what I really wanted with the world. I wanted the world to feel alive with everything moving around. Although it's currently feeling very alive with lag spike. Holy moly. This game is killing my system. CPU just shot up to 100% there as the game desperately tried to figure things out. I don't think you set the apples to go to Canberra. I did not, it seems. Well, easily fixed. How does it actually look and sound on the stream when the system is being maxed there? If it gets to the point where it's unbearable, what I'll do is I'll shelve this until I do a system upgrade and then hope that it gets better. And if it still doesn't improve after that, we're in some hot water with this run. Which is a shame. I already had to kill Perfect Railroad Empire because of that game's performance. The mic sounds like it's clipping, there's crackling in the audio. Well, that's not so bad. I mean, having good audio is one of my highest priorities for a stream, but I'm sure we can live. So where's this called again? This should be Canberra Farmers Market Warehouse. Oh, somewhere's ready to grow. Who is it? It's Colne. Now I can choose exactly how Colne grows and what they grow with. And I really think I should be focusing hard on the clothing store, because as we can see, the industry needed for clothes is dense-ish. This is the clothes and textiles and stuff for 3 different places, although it might not max them out. Not only that, I already have a bunch of clothes and things that I can be supplying to them. There is something to be said for everything, for all construction goods being quite tight. Cardboard, oil, paint, ink, it's not hefty stuff. And toy shops even better in a way, but I think we should focus on the clothing stores for now. So there we go, Colne grows larger, gets its clothing store, and on top of that, I can instantly start selling them. Oh my god, why? Why is the game, when paused, chugging for a firework effect? This game and its performance is unbelievably dubious. Please, come back to the game, give it a performance sweep. It's killing me. This one warehouse already does a lot of work, but I'm just going to overwork it for now. Seems like Dev did not... I've not even built that much. I have built up like one city's reasonable amount of industry. This is nothing compared to what you would expect the world to have. Well, you wouldn't put in a large map and then not stress test it, right? Hearing damage level bad. I don't get it though. Why? Why was the system... Oh my god, the system is not even responding now. Okay, there we go. Not that much. I think this might be a casual game. Surely not. You don't make a game about industry and logistics without caring about it, right? Okay, let's not get too flattened here. We got stuff to ship out and money to make from it. Clothing store. Take your fibers. Take your dyes. Unfortunately, we produce excess of these now. Well, I hope we produce excess. That's why I built another setup for it. As I said before, Jake, time for that dual PC streaming setup. Not impossible, but all my stuff... Well... No. Doesn't make sense for this. Let's not entertain the thought. I can't believe of all the games that would end up stressing my system, it's this game. And I am willing to put that down to optimization more than anything else, or lack thereof. Poor Dev. Hope they're not watching and just screaming, "No, you're just not doing it right. There was never meant to be that much water." Well, I'm sorry. I was keeping IGN in my mind when I put this much water in. And I get pretty excited at the thought of all these clothes coming in and being sold at ridiculous rates. Meet demand. Don't wait till full. Sell everything you can. The clothing store's demand isn't very high, but it'll grow as the city grows. And then it's a case of telling these guys to send their excess over there. You already tell it to go to these other places, and you do send it out, which is a good sign that I am producing them. Excellent. In that case, Dyes go out by train. And fibers go out by train. Send everything you can. There's really no reason to have max sent, actually. No reason at all, but there is sense in putting minimum kept. That way the clothes and fabrics get priority on them. That's just a case of sending the rest over to Colne Warehouse. Ridiculous Spanner comes in and says hello. Well, welcome. I don't know what would bring somebody to this kind of stream, but maybe it's the same kind of thing that makes me play this kind of game. Oh, there's no need for minimum kept on sending finished products that are not intermediates or anything. Just make sure they all go out by train. Do I even want a max sent? Do I max send the other ones? Since these are finished products, it might actually make sense to have a max sent so that one of them doesn't drink it all up. But by the same token, there's also no sense in doing that, so I'm not even sure on that case. Still, it matters not. Plenty of fabrics over here that need to be sent out. I hate to say it, but I will likely tear down all of that fat. Why do you send textiles over to somewhere? Probably not worth thinking about. I also completely lost my train of thought thanks to that. Again, probably not a problem. Let's see, you make the napkins and the clothes. At least as tier 3 goods go. And then on top of that we have tier 2 goods coming in here, which are both kinds of fabric. Heavy fabric and light. Send up by train. Send up to 30. Those are worth having a min kept on though, so I'm actually going to send them to 60 and say min kept 30. That way we'll end up with some that we can still use for clothes. I'd hate to be shipping out low level things when I could be shipping out high level things. Alright, and I still need to do it with this one. It sucks that I have two different dyes and textile places, each backing up with dyes and textiles of their own, because it means twice as much work to tell the game to send the goods out there. But my design is not good enough. Do I send yeah, I send pretty much maximum out on that, no big deal. My design is not good enough to cram more dye and textile places together. One thing I could do is segregate dye and textiles, but I didn't think of that when I was building it up. Shame on me. Now, what I can actually do to enjoy what I've built here is observe. Observe goods coming into Colne. Probably take a little bit of time before they get there. Speeding up the game, I think, is causing some of those issues with encoding. Probably making me sound all crackly, but I'm sure we will survive. Ah, there we go. There's our first shipment in of clothes. Colne Warehouse now has a whole bunch of winter clothes. It's August in Cologne, so couldn't have been better timing. And the value of these clothes when we send them to clothing store here is, well, that truck is worth 100,000 on its own. And the next shipment is coming in. What are you delivering to Colne? Ah, work clothes. Unsurprisingly, there's just as much demand for work clothes, although it should actually perhaps be a bit higher, shouldn't it? These are Germans. You know the joke about Germans and working? It's a pretty good one, and it's probably not a joke. If this in-game event does not entail sacrificing children in coal mines, it's no fun. Well, Frostpunk 2 put out another, I'm not even sure it was an announcement, probably just a teaser thing, so that's on its way. We'll have all the children sacrificing we can need when that comes out. Oh, there is a Christmas event in Frostpunk 1 that appears during this time of year, but it's really nothing fancy. My god, 96. How is this so CPU intensive? Look at the game. Can't believe it. I might actually just have to raise Atlantis sooner or later. The thing is, raising Atlantis costs lots of money. The questions will return soon. Have you heard it? Yeah. That's the one I get. Hey Jake, maybe you've heard this before, but just in case, have you heard that Frostpunk 2 is coming out? What do you think of that? What am I meant to think of it? How do you see this conversation going? Probably just people being enthusiastic, right? I can't leverage that against them. And besides, it's often their first time asking. So it would be a real jerk move to be angry at that. Okay, so with Colne opening up, that should increase the amount of money I'm making even more. I like it a lot. But it's worth noticing that although this complex and research setup makes me a fair chunk of dosh, we make plenty of money on just selling raw goods. These raw goods being sent out, remember, every boat that you see here is making me about $100,000 each. I think people want to hear you snark about it. I don't get any joy from being snarky about something. Alright, loving that, but I still need these other places to keep on growing for me. So I'm thinking if I set up another raw food good thing here. The question is what? And the answer is pretty much everything. Tatties, for example. It's still a bit silly when people ask you, will you play the sequel to the game you exhausted of all of its content? Yes, it is silly. It's very silly even. Okay, I'm going to allow myself some more room here by having a road that comes around like so. I'm going to hate the fact that it juts out there. Wish I could go under it or something. Oh my god, the game just can't handle me drawing roads anymore. I am worrying greatly for this game's stability. Maybe it's time to ask the Atlanteans to terraform more of the oceans? The thing is, I don't get to see or hear how this is on your end. You're the guys that need to tell me what it's comparable to. The moment it becomes really unwatchable is the moment that I'm going to have to put this down and figure out how to make it keep running. It could be something silly, like a game not catching nearly everything when it wants to pathfinding, doing it from scratch each time. Goost did some profiling on it and found that pathfinding is absolutely the culprit. Although to what extent, I don't know, and I'm not even sure I'd truly understand if he told me. It's not my forte. Oh my god, the whole game can't... It's falling apart. However, we didn't stop with Railway Empire until that game actually died. It's alright, I'm just going to use my massive racism against early access and say that's the problem. It's all because of early access somehow. Right. Sugar for the world or tatties for the world? Quite like the idea of doing tatties. Also, let's have a lot less of that. Do I have room to squeeze in 12 farms? Oh, yes and no. Mostly no. But if I flatten the north and south there, I can get my tatty farm right here. That's the fate. Well, actually, what would be a much more oh my god, game, please. I've played games with bad performance in my life, but this one is absolutely taking the mick. I gotta remember that this is iron ore here. I may want to extract this iron and send it off, so I should afford myself a bit of space for it. I don't even have RTX on, Bane. I have given this game carte blanche over my entire system, and it is chugging it. And this isn't some Ukrainian cardboard computer. Alright. I will leave something resembling space up north for the... let me think. That'd be enough space for coal mines, and a warehouse, and a place to ship it out for it to be processed elsewhere. But remember, I need my tatties, so... Ooh, I worry that that's a little too close to the other farm. Yeah. There's something to be said for bringing you as close to the sea as possible, though. But then what do I do with this space down the center? I don't know. I'd really rather just have it done like so. Come on, game, you can do it. I'd really rather have it done like so, then I have better space in the bottom. But that would mean uglying up Brazil's border there way too much. What kind of CPU do you have? I've managed to forget. But it's easy to check. Hope DXDiag doesn't kill my system as well here. The game is 100%ing my CPU. I've got an i7 5820 at 330 gigahertz. Right. I think I'll just slam you over on the border as much as we can. There we go. It's pretty old by now, but I struggle to think how it could have so much difficulty with this game. Well, I'll get myself a nice upgrade for Christmas. I've got an X99 based system, I don't have these problems. Slightly different CPU though. No, it's fine for streaming anything. Just not this game. Well, not this game on this kind of map. Yeah, I don't think this is hardware whatsoever. I think it's all to do with the game. I am actually going to have to stop real soon. I can't do anything anymore without the game chugging like mad. But what's bizarre is it's chugging even when paused. What in the world could it be trying to do whilst paused? Catch up, says Bane. Have you tried? We restarted not very long ago, and same goes for my PC as well. It's just this. It's just this game. It is okay. I have to stop now. The game is flat out 100%ing my system for no good reason, and I don't know. I can't. Okay. Wow, that was intense. Right. This is a very sad and early point to be doing this, but I have got to find a solution to this before I come back to the run. Better not risk it for just one game. Risk what? Perfecter world, I don't know, number 6 let's say, and what are we going to call this? I'll call it FPS death. I want to come back to this. There's a great opportunity here for building something perfect like we did in... Ooh, CPU usage goes way down when I'm in the escape screen here, thank goodness. There's a great opportunity for building something perfect here, and I want to. I really want to set this whole thing up and then just sit back and watch it and go like, ah. But we have not even built 1/5 or even maybe 1/10 of what is needed for the perfect world. And the game is crumbling beneath me. That might be a bit above and beyond what can be done. But holy smokes, the fact that we can't even run at this early stage is a pretty poor sign. I'll see if anything can be done, but I am not holding any high hopes without some insight into what is actually causing all this. I'm gutted at that. Because I wanted to sink dozens of hours into building this perfect world, but if the game's performance is that immensely bad, then that's as far as we can go for now. Okay, right, well I'll be back later on this evening with Amayui, and I'm going to need to find other things to fill in all the wildcard segments with. But for now, let's consider Rise of Industry put on the shelf until we can find a way to actually run the game. That's a bit brutal. Yeah, the problem is my desire to build and manage these kinds of things is unscratched, so I'll be on the lookout for another similar game. I believe the Steam sales start this evening, so I think I will peruse and perhaps try to find something similar. Nameless some other guys pointing at Factory Town. I strongly recall that being an early access title, which I ignored. I'm not doing Factorio. I've done everything in Factorio. I won't be touching that again until its expansion comes out. Okay, what a bummer. Man, that means 2 versus 1 for success on these perfect runs. But why? Why must the games that I want to delve into so much just crumble beneath what I want to do? And I have tried rebooting up Railway Empire, and they have not optimized that game since. It still just dies on me and shrieks with its alarms. Okay, well, that's my plea. If you're involved in this game, please, please, please do a performance pass on it so that I can do this. Although, let's be honest, if you do that, it's not going to be profitable for you in any way. I doubt even 0.1% of your player base are going to max the game like this. Max the game. Come on, look at this. I've built nothing. Built nothing and the game is dying. Oh well. Enough ranting and raving from me. I'll be back in a few hours with Amayui. Till then, it's a cheers and a cheery no to Satisfactory.